Typhoon Soldel is about to make a turn to the southwest, and we have all sorts of other areas to track in the Pacific as well as a tropical wave to watch in the Atlantic. Let's get into it. Starting over here, we have Category 1 or 2 Typhoon Soldel, which is going to be moving into China. It's been moving northwest for most of its life, and it is expected to move kind of to the west-southwest in general. Further to the east, we have two areas right here that could be like interacting with one another. Which one develops is still maybe a question. I think it's this one, not this one. And then still up here, meandering up here with still good satellite imagery, is Hurricane Lala. Here is slowly dwindling what was tropical and still is tropical storm Isel that is expected to die out relatively quickly. And then we have still 4 areas to watch in the Pacific. This one will be moving probably just south of Hawaii. This one's going to be probably a pretty strong system that is going to be moving away from Hawaii. And then these two are going to be similar to what Isel did, but maybe a little bit stronger. But also we have a tropical wave over here in the Atlantic. As you can see the broader picture, there's not a lot of instability or moisture here. It's pretty isolated and has a very brief chance. Even our AI models aren't even showing this developing. Looking at our updated NHC page, you can see Julio is no longer a thing. Lala is still somehow up here. It's about to cross our international date line, and will still likely be a tropical storm briefly as it does that. And we have this area which has a 70% chance of developing, and we'll break that one down too. And then our greatest chance right now is this one behind Isel, which has a 90% chance of development. Starting off in our Western Pacific, here is Typhoon Soldel, here is Lala, and here are our new developing systems. This one to the northeast is expected to be the one that actually develops and is likely going to move north as kind of a weaker system, and it could just meander and die out there. Soldel, again, is expected to move well to the south and west and make landfall in China. Taiwan, you should not have too many impacts with this one, maybe just some outer bands from it. Also, a new signal I really want to highlight now is going to be our probably next impactful typhoon, which will be developing somewhere near the southern Japanese islands, and it could be moving to the north. If you can look at a couple of our scenarios here, you can see the GFS does not want to tighten up this model run, but other model runs, like this one, really wanted to tighten it up quite early and then make it strong. Our European model also does not really want to make it a defined system right now. And if we look at our previous model, we again saw a lot of definition in the strength of maybe a storm there. Lastly, looking at our updated AI GFS, also just showing a broad system at this point. So there definitely seems to be an agreement that this might actually be more broad than a consolidated. Moving on to our Central Pacific, we have, again, this area to the east, now expected to be sucked up into whatever the next storm is going to be out there. But the other situation is that it could head off to the west, and there's still a lot of uncertainty with that. And then this is also that 20% to the southwest of Hawaii that is showing development. Moving on to our Eastern Pacific signals with our AI model here. Again, we're going to see basically this storm actually form, and this one's likely to consolidate rather quickly apart from what Isel did. And then the one behind it could also be strong, but the intensity forecast on that one is still uncertain. Moving on lastly to our Google DeepMind Google Weather Lab model. Again, we're going to actually see some redevelopment of Soldel once it gets pushed to the south into the South China Sea, it's likely going to be a tropical storm then and move back into China. This is our signal for a system near the southern Japanese islands. It could be moving about northwest, and then it could drift more to the north. And that could actually be developing sometime closer to the weekend. As you can see, the interaction between these two areas out here, this one to the west is expected to die out. This one technically is only a tropical depression. And then it is expected to get absorbed by the other storm, which is likely going to be a tropical storm, and then die out somewhere up here. We're also still watching Lala out here, which is expected to stay a tropical storm, maybe up until Friday, maybe Saturday, probably not. But it'll probably just briefly cross into the western Pacific before it dissipates. It's basically right there on the line right now. This is Midway Atoll, which is international dateline, and we have Lala, which is maybe just to the west. Moving on to our eastern Pacific, you can see Isel is supposed to dissipate quite soon, and then we have the signal to the southwest, which is now 100% certain that this storm is going to be moving straight west and not get sucked up into this one, where other models aren't still certain about that. And then there's the other tropical wave behind that. And any other signals behind that? Not as much. And here is our 20% right now. And it still looks like it could become a very powerful storm moving into the western Pacific. So yeah, there's still a lot to cover here. Also, our Atlantic right now doesn't seem to be very active. Of course, the signal on this one has really downtrended. The latest run has actually uptrended on redevelopment, so that's definitely going to be something to watch. And you can kind of see the visual of all of the ensembles on that one. It does show some development over here and then some development in the Gulf. I would say we're probably not going to get development out here. I think it's almost certain that there's no development in the main development region. And it's expected to really, really struggle over here. Now, it's either really good news, this tropical wave, as it will be moving probably close or into the Lesser Antilles, which need a bunch of rain. Also, one last thing to note, I'm not really seeing any other tropical waves to look at right now, which means that this storm is our only area to watch in the Atlantic, which is going to struggle to develop, especially in the next 7 days. Alright, that's all I have for you today, and I will again see you tomorrow.